I get an email, and I finished all the work, and she says, "Congratulations, Jennifer, you're a certified soul care coach." Bettina, I didn't know I signed up to be a soul care coach.
Jennifer helps women discover the power of their purpose by tapping into their truths, honing their intuition, and trusting themselves so they can have the clarity and confidence to create the next level of success they desire. I know that when a woman allows her soul to lead, she'll stop struggling and find the fun, fulfillment, and financial growth that she craves. I'm so happy that Jennifer is a part of us today. She's been on this journey for so many years, and she's worked in the housing industry and conducted numerous workshops for thousands of employees and managers throughout the country. So transitioning from the housing industry to speaking, teaching, and training on leadership development, that was a pretty significant shift for you. What would you say is the pivotal moment that made you realize that it was time to pursue your passion for empowering others? Like, to quit a secure job and take that leap of faith in yourself. Like, how did that process come about? What got you to that place?
Well, about 7 years, 8 years, I'm going to have to go back and find the exact date when it happened. I was still with the federal government, and I had to go to Los Angeles and do work out of the Los Angeles field office. And I was on my way home, and I had to fly from Los Angeles to Dallas to DFW, and then there home to Oklahoma City, where I still live. And I got on the plane. It was the biggest plane for, domestic flight I'd ever had, with the three seats, three seats, three seats. So 2 aisles going down. Only for international had I been on big flights like that. And this woman sat on my row, and we had an empty seat between us. So we just sprawled out. It's a several hour flight. And she said, "If you could do anything in the world, what would you do?" And I said, "I would be a speaker and a trainer." I was just at an event recently, and this woman walked out, and she was dressed to the nines. She had on a $2,000 at least fitted suit, 4-inch pumps. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup was perfect. I've got to get a microphone so I can do this more efficiently. And she walked into the middle of this ballroom with all these employees, with her sharing her magic. And she goes, "Hello, my name is Jennifer." And I was like, "Wait a minute, I can't even hear her." And she had a microphone.
Oh.
And so by the end of that session, I finally figured out what we were talking about. And I thought, you give me the book, you give me the mic, and I can engage those people, and I can rock that. Like, I can do that.
Yes, you can. And you do. You capture every room. Your energy is contagious. I will testify to this. Like, you bring that thing where you run into and you're like, oh, you're captivating. You're incredibly captivating at the $2,000 suits and the pump. You have that that just is so captivating. Sorry to interrupt, but I have to agree with you wholeheartedly. Keep going.
Well, thank you. So I'm recalling that story to this woman on this plane, and she said, "Well, you have just opened the doors to the universe, and more opportunities are going to come for you to speak and you to train. And sometimes you're going to say no, sometimes you're going to say yes, but eventually you'll get there." And I thought to myself, this is the most airy fairy, touchy feely woman I've ever met in my life. I don't even know what she's talking about. But okay, so I was polite. I was very polite. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Do you have her number? Can you?
Yeah, no, I don't even know who she was. She gave me a book. I read it. It was amazing. It's somewhere in
What was
my
the
house.
book?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But so I get back into my corporate thing, right? And spirituality had always been a part of my life. I was born on a Monday. My first time in church was Sunday. I've always known, I've always believed. And this is just like a segue. Sorry, I have to throw this in there. But I woke up sick one day, and I was like, "Oh, am I sick enough to stay home or well enough to go to work?"
Oh.
And this gentle voice from above said, "Stay home. Take care of yourself." And I thought, well, that's really weird. I need to go to work. And so then the whole judgmental ego voice comes in, go to work, you have things to do. And in the end, I called in sick and I talked to my boss's secretary, Teresa, and I said, hey, I know I didn't always sound like this. I was like, she goes, you're not coming in. And I said, well, I'm going to come in at noon if I'm better. And she goes, yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Well, that was the last time I ever talked to Teresa because it was April 19th, 1995, the day that has become known as the day of the Murrah Federal Building bombing. And I was a federal employee and I worked in that building. And the building sheared off about 3 feet south of my desk. And I got back a crumpled nameplate and a few family photos that were also crumpled. And that was it. 35 from my office alone were killed, including Teresa and my boss.
Oh.
So it's one of those things you think, oh, you're just going to start really listening to your intuition and paying attention. No, like I had to go to work. I had to rebuild an office. Like it was a lot. And
Wow.
although I was extremely grateful, that wasn't my focus. So it was years later that I had this encounter with this woman, and I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, no, that's not how this works.
Years, like 3 years or 10 years or 20?
Oh, gosh. Well, 95 to the
Oh,
2000s
that's like 10 years.
or more because I retired in 2014. And this
Wow.
was 7 or 8 years before that. So 2005, 2007.
I want to know who this oracle is.
I know, right? Just a random woman on a plane. And so that again, it just kind of put that whole thing like, I can do this. Just give me the mic. I can own the stage.
Yes, you can.
And I don't even really have to know what I'm talking about. I can just, I can just do it. And I'm very grateful. It's a gift. I know it is. And I'm
Mhm.
very grateful for that. So I had then been asked to travel for a year for the government, training across the country, various new ways of doing business, leaders on how to lead, because that's not how it's done in the federal government. And I went into some very hostile environments, very
Yeah,
hostile.
that's not how it's done in the federal government.
I went into this one office and I'm talking to the like she's a like a check myself up. She's like a regional director over a lot of people, a lot of offices. And there was a new thing she was supposed to implement, and she's supposed to be the leader of the pack, right? Vroom,
Mhm.
vroom. And I ran into her and I was like, so how's it going? Are you doing this? That I came and spent days training her staff on. And she went, we're not doing that. And I went, well, this is like a mandate from the Secretary of the Department of Housing and Development, which is like in the succession to presidency. Like, you don't just
Yeah,
say no.
right.
And she goes, we're not doing that. So
Mm.
I went and called my leader and I was like, hey, you might need to fly out here because she thinks I'm just this pissy little girl that doesn't know shit. And guess what? I do. And so you might need to handle this. I'm not arguing with her.
Right.
So pretty hostile environments. And literally, I got back to the office April 19th was my first time back in the office after like 55, 56 weeks. And I always go to the anniversary service. I don't
Mm.
dwell on that a lot, but I do like to take that day and go and pay honor to my friends and colleagues that were killed. And then I have two girlfriends that I meet afterwards and we have lunch and catch up, and we all work for different agencies and had different experiences. But like it's a connecting thing.
So were they working with you in that building before April 19th as well?
So one of them worked for the Small Business Administration and they had just moved out of the building like 3 months before.
Mm.
And then another gal worked for the Veterans Affairs, doing career counseling for retired vets and servicemen who had left the service. And she literally was opening a door to a stairwell when the explosion happened. And like she thought she set it off for the longest time, that
Oh,
because like the timing.
oh, oh,
But she was severely injured and months of physical therapy because it just like shattered her forearm. But she's doing great. My other friend is doing great. And so we get together and share our gratitudes and, you know, how thankful we are that we had good jobs and good retirements. And I got to leave really early. I'm the youngest of the three, and I left like 10 years before one of them because I left early. They said, you can go. And I ran out the door. So don't let it hit me in the butt. I am out of here.
right?
Um, but I came back on April 19th. I went to the service. I went out to lunch. I came back into the office trying to get settled. I'd been gone over a year. And Monday, my boss is on jury duty. So I'm like, oh, good. I can settle in a little bit without my boss being there. And Wednesday morning, they did this big announcement that they were doing a massive reorganization and we were going from like 54 offices to 10. And you physically had to be in one of the 10. And I was like, I'm not doing this. And they said, well, you can leave early. And I was like, yeah, I'm out. I'm going to leave early.
Quick
And so
solution. I'm in.
I'm out of here. And I went to lunch with a coworker of mine and I said, man, I think I'm a pretty good trainer. I think I'm going to do that. And he goes, yeah, do that. And he goes, you were going to do it when you were retired anyway. You might as well start now instead of having a big gap. And I was like, oh, good thought. Yeah. Okay. I'll do that. So it was pretty good. I'm a pretty good trainer. I trained for the great state of Oklahoma. When COVID hit, I was like, oh, I have a laptop and a mic. I've had as many as 200 people on live with nothing but a PowerPoint and my microphone. They can't see me. I can't see them. They can't talk. I can. Like, I just owned it. They were really good. They were amazing employees for the state. And
What do you train on when you train them?
oh, leadership development, like transitioning into a new supervisory role, the importance of creativity in everyday life. That was kind of a big one. Negotiating for success. Anyway, I loved doing that. I've been a keynote speaker at several different events, which is fun. The state HR conferences, I've done breakout rooms, super fun. Enjoy all of that. And that was all good. Don't get me wrong. I love doing it. And randomly my phone would ring. Hey, can you come talk at this? And I'm like, yes. But then it wouldn't ring again. And it was like, well, why did
Oh.
the phone ring? Oh, well, Jennifer, did you call? Did you do this? You know, and I'm like, well, no, they're supposed to just know I'm here and call me. Like, I don't understand. I don't
Follow
understand.
up? What? I follow up? No,
I'm here. Hello. What does Brendan say? I'm here. Okay, like, I'm here.
right?
Like,
He also says follow up 12 times on
yeah.
average, right?
Okay, but that's new. We just heard that. So I'm working with a coach, and I think you mentioned like I'd spent $20,000 in coaching. No, that's like just recently. Like it's way more than that. But I'm in this coaching program, and mastermind is what I'm trying to say. And a woman comes in, and she's a spiritual healer. The room is in a horseshoe. I think there are about 8 or 10 of us. And she walks into the middle of the horseshoe and she's like, Jennifer, tell me the name of your business and what you do. And I told her what I did. And she was like, no, you should say blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. And she went to the next person and the next person and the next person. And then she offered to have one on ones with us. And we get on this one on one. And I was like, hi. And she was like, hey. And she just knew things about me. And I was like, I don't know how this works. Like, how do you know this stuff? So at the end, she goes, would you like to work with me? And I said, yeah, when do we start? And she goes, do you want to know how much it is? And I said, does it matter? And she goes, well, to most people. And I was like, yeah, no, we need to work this out. So I worked with her for a number of months. And then did I say I didn't have any clients? I think I said that. I think I made that clear. I was from the same mastermind group. A woman was a speaker and she invited me to a summit that she was speaking on. Well, I'm just so naive. I thought it was because she liked me. I did not know it was because she was a speaker and she needed signups for it and she invited her whole list. I thought it was a direct reach out, but it was not. I found that out later. I was a little bit hurt. But in this, I one of the speakers was a woman who talked about her spiritual journey and she reads Akashic records. And those are the messages on your soul. And I was like, I want that. So I signed up for her free session and I do the session. And at the end, it was amazing. And she says, I'm teaching this work in the spring. This was in the fall. And I was like, yeah, I want to do that. So I signed up and we learned to read Akashic records. We practiced on each other. It was just really an awesome experience. And it's like the messages on your soul given from God. Like it's amazing. And we get to the end. She said, I get an email and I finished all the work. And she says, congratulations, Jennifer. You're a certified soul care coach. Bettina, I didn't know I signed up to be a soul care coach, but I did. And now I'm certified.
Now you're official.
I know I'm official. I didn't even know it was a thing. And now I'm official. And I was in a paid women's networking group. And I dropped in the group, hey, I'm a certified soul care coach. I can read your Akashic records. I've opened up 5 slots on my calendar. Spoiler alert, my whole calendar was open. I opened up 5 spots on my calendar. If anybody would like their records read, here are the times. They're the times I wanted to be up and not watching Netflix, let's be clear. Bam! Those times were taken like in an hour. I had put free leadership development stuff out there. I had put minimally paid leadership development out there. I had put all kinds of stuff out there and nobody said yes to anything.
You found a niche.
I found a niche, and the first woman who had a session with me at the end said, may I write you a testimonial? Yes, ma'am. That's like manna from heaven. Yes. Yes, I will take a
Well,
testimonial.
I guess it would be okay.
I
Yeah.
guess so.
Everything
Like,
else
is
with
it video?
a testimonial.
Like, how do you want to give it to me, honey? Like, whatever it takes. So, as it turns out, those 5 women, like, all of them gave me a testimonial. And it still took me a little while to settle into it. I'm in the great state of Oklahoma. It's a very Christian based state. Anything outside of the like narrow box and your weird and airy fairy. And I was scared. I was really scared. Like, how were people going to take me when they knew like I could do magical things? So it took several months. And finally, one morning, I woke up and it was just like the clearest message from God ever. This is your gift. You have to own it.
So you're an oracle. Is that the right word? I'm using that word because my daughter introduced that word to me today, and I don't know if it was meant to be that I learned what, like she said, an oracle is where a god talks to another. From what she said, I'm like, that's you. I just learned that word today, and I think that might be you.
Well, it could be. And so I'm starting to put it together. Like, what am I going to offer? How am I going to share this? I still hadn't really told any of my close friends because I thought they would think I was a witch or something, which I could be. I don't know. And then this woman comes in the group and she goes, I'm going to teach Holy Fire Reiki level 1 and 2 on Saturday and Sunday. Who's in? And I don't know. There was a cost attached, but I was like, yes, I'm in. So now I can read your Akashic records, the messages on your soul. And when we've moved a lot of energy, now I can do Holy Fire Reiki and like settle the energy so you walk away feeling good and happy and solid. And I'm like, this is good. This is really good. So then I started reading this book, The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. Okay, so he talks about how we physically trap emotions in our body. And a trapped emotion is roughly the size of your fist. with a trapped emotion, then blood can't flow, oxygen can't flow, your body can't heal. It ends up
Yes.
in disease because it's, misaligned. So I'm learning about this technique to release trapped emotions. And I was like, this is cool. And I went to an event and this woman, I said, hey, so what do you do? And she was like, oh, I clear heart wall blocks. And I went, oh my God, Dr. Bradley Nelson's work. And she goes, yes. And I went, oh, great. I want to work with you. How many sessions do we have to do? So I did a few sessions with her and I was like, yeah, this is good. I like this. So now I can open your Akashic records, which elevates our consciousness. And then we can identify and quickly, easily clear trapped emotions. Then we can do a little holy fire Reiki and settle it all down. And you walk away after an hour just feeling amazed. Then I find out Dr. Bradley Nelson also has body code. And that is identifying misalignments and imbalances in your physical, emotional, or spiritual body. And once we can create that alignment, your body can heal. Now, I'm a both and girl. I'm all about modern medicine. I want modern drugs. I want pain meds if I need them. I'm having my knee replaced in a couple of weeks. Like, I want all the drugs, all the things. I'm not like either or, I'm all. So, a client
I
of
want it
mine,
all. I don't
I
want
want
it this. I don't want it that. I want it all.
I want
And
it
I
all.
deserve it all. And I'm going to have it all. Yes, ma'am. Sign me up.
This woman, a client of mine, signed up for a 6 session bundle.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question is, what is the number one thing bothering you the most? Like, if it were wiped away, your life would be like amazing. And she said, well, right now it's eczema. It
Oh,
has started on my hands, moving up my arms, across my chest, up my neck, up. It's going to be on my face just any minute. And I was like, okay, let's see what we can do. So it took us 5 sessions, and I followed up with her this weekend. She is completely eczema free.
oh wow.
And what I didn't know about it was it is painful.
It
Like,
is.
I thought it just looked bad, but apparently it will wake you up in the night because it hurts so bad.
It,
So it was like, holy moly. So then another client was like, I want to get rid of this eczema. And I was like, I can do that. Let's get rid of the eczema.
go.
So we've done 2 sessions with her. It's much better. I haven't checked with her this week to see if it's gone. But at the event we were at, Brenda Bouchard's Ultra event, at lunch on March 1st, I moved tables to sit with the amazing Diane Haddad. And I sit down, and I knew a couple people at the table, but not everybody. And Diane goes, oh, Jennifer, do you know Rebecca? And I was like, no, Rebecca, it's nice to meet you. And she goes, her back hurts really bad. Could you just fix that? And I went, oh, yeah, let me just do that. And I did.
Oh, oh my gosh. How amazing. So,
Well, and
okay.
I have to say, okay, number one, it is divinely inspired action, right? This is not me personally, Jennifer. I'm a conduit. I'm a conduit for healing. I'm a conduit for the magic. I'm just willing to say yes. She did tell me at the dinner party that her back did not hurt, and it had been 9 years of chronic pain. Is this normal for everybody? I don't know. I don't promise anything. I'm just willing to share and do the work. So it's powerful. It's amazing. And along this journey, I met Jack Canfield, who is the writer and the founder of the Chicken Soup for the Souls
Oh,
series.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And he has a book, Success Principles. And
I did
the
not know that.
yeah, and he surveyed lots and lots of very successful people and came up with it's over 100 principles that they adhere to regularly. And if everybody would all be more successful. Well,
Hmm.
the first principle is take 100% responsibility for every aspect of your life. It's
Mm-hmm.
never anybody else's fault. It's only your own.
That is freeing. Yeah.
So I agree to speak at an association luncheon on step one on the path to success. And I'm going to talk about taking 100% responsibility. But he says if 1% or if 100% is too much, take 5% more.
Mm.
I don't know what that means. Like, how do you train 5% more? So I became very obsessed with it. I have to say, very obsessed. And in the long run, to wrap the story up, my day had 3 4-hour increments. When I got to work, I had from 8 to noon, and then 1 to 5. And then when I got home, I had from 6 to 10. 5% of 4 hours is 12 minutes. So I wrote a book, Reach Your Goals in 12-minute increments. And it has just come out, a revised version, 12 Minutes to Success, available.
Nice.
Available on Amazon. My books are short. Why? Because I have the attention span of a gnat.
We
But
all
that's
do. We all do. Yes.
get the idea and get how to do it and move on. Let's do something else now. And so that's where we come up with the wins. Wire your brain. Those are all the negative thoughts that have been hardwired. Identify what's wired and then switch it to a positive. And if it's too far, too much, like I'm a millionaire, and you're overdrawn, that's not in alignment, right? It could
Right.
be, I'm willing to be a millionaire, right? Because that's a shift in your brain. Like, I'm willing to do that. Like, I'm
Mhm.
always late. I'm always on time. No, I'm willing to be on time. I'm willing to make changes to be on time. And your brain can take that in. So
Yeah.
if it's too much, like I want to lose 110 pounds. I weigh 112. Like that's too much. But
Your
if
brain
it's,
knows you're lying. It's like, lie? No, no,
yeah,
no. You're lying. But if you say that you're willing to, your
yeah,
brain might actually believe that.
yes,
That is believable. I'm willing to. That's believable. I love that. Oh,
yes.
yes, ma'am. I'm taking that.
So then the I is imagination. And when we were children, when I was a little girl, I'm the youngest of four, and I have one of my sisters is 3 years older. And in the summertime in Oklahoma, we would lay in the grass and look at the clouds. And they would make shapes, right? You look at the clouds and you're like, oh, there's an elephant. And she would go, there's not an elephant. I'm like, yes, there is. Don't you see the elephant? She'd go, there's no elephant, Jennifer. Well, luckily, in the great state of Oklahoma, the wind does come sweeping down the plain and the cloud was gone anyway. So we could quit arguing about whether or not there was an elephant. But we lose that ability to be childlike and imagining the life of our dreams. So I encourage people to write down what's your perfect day. When
Mhm.
you wake up, what happens? What happens? Are you in a comfy bed? Is there somebody in the bed next to you? Is there a cat or a dog up in the bed? That's what happens in my house. Then when your feet hit the ground, what is it? Some people live in some place really hot and they want to hit cold tile when they hit the ground. I want to hit cushy carpet. Then what happens when you leave? What kind of car do you drive? Where do you go? How far a commute is it? Like get very specific on imagining your dream. I've heard there's studies that the brain does not know the difference between a lie and the truth. So the imagination is make believe, and it's like, okay, that's what she wants. And then it happens. But you have to be very detailed in that imagination and you have to know what you want. And with leaders, I would often train on leadership characteristics and styles and how you want to show up.
Mhm.
And sometimes we have to list how we don't want to be and then find the positive side of that.
And put the positive spin. So the brain, so I remember Ed Milet, he said your brain, it knows the difference between the truth and a lie. That's the reason we make it into a truth. What it doesn't know is the time frame, past, present, and future. So that's why you can imagine the future, bring it to the present, and then you re-vibrate as that is your as part of your truth, because
Yes.
it doesn't know that that's a future truth.
Right. And
Yeah.
so just imagine laying on your grass, looking at the clouds and creating your life. Okay. Now we're going to do it with pen and paper. Why pen and paper instead of typing? All kinds of studies. If you take it from your brain through your arm, out your pen, out your hand, and write it down, it actually is stored in the brain in a different place than if you type.
Mm.
And it makes it more real. So that's the imagination. And then the end, next steps, 12-minute increments. That goal, that dream, that vision is big. And if it's not big, people make it bigger. Like it needs to be really, really big. But
Mm.
then we get caught up in how do I do the big? So what we need to do is break it down into little 12-minute increments.
Okay.
So a woman in a group I'm in, I didn't even know she was there. Like you don't know who shows up to a summit and hears you speak. But her coach and I are friends, and the coach called me and went, "Oh my gosh, do you know such and such in the group?" And I said, "Yeah, I know who she is. I haven't really talked to her, but I know who she is." And she said, "Well, she put in her plan, her goals, her weekly goals, she was going to read 12 minutes a day because you told her that's all she had to do. And she's read more now in the last 2 weeks than she has in years because she's not a reader."
Because
And
you
I was
told
like,
her.
I told her to do it. But here's the deal. I looked it up. If you get the audiobook War and Peace, which is like 1,300 pages,
Right.
it takes 63 hours to listen to that book.
Mm-hmm.
If you read 12 minutes a day, and I read at the same speed as we talk, I'm not a speed reader, but I read a lot, but I'm not a speed reader. It would take, if you took 12 minutes a day for 1 year, that would be 73 hours. But War and Peace, it would only take you 63 hours to listen to. So look how much you could get done. That's probably 3 or 4, personal growth, personal development books, the bigger ones in a year. If you just read 12 minutes a day. So I had somebody very early on in my quest to be the 12-minute success coach, and they were like, no, like you can't get anything done. Yeah, if it's hyper focused, no interruptions for 12 minutes,
Yes, ma'am.
you can get a lot done. And my energy work, and they want to talk about the situation. They want to talk about everything that happened. They need to work it out. Perfect. Go there. Work it all out. I identify it and clear it quickly and easily, and you don't even have to remember what the event was. You just want to feel more of this or less of this, and we can make that happen. So that's where I didn't notice it, right? Other people see it in you. And a coach said, "Oh my gosh, Jennifer, 12-minute increments. You can help them set their goals and then clear the blocks that are keeping them from doing it in 12 minutes." And I went, "Yes, I can."
Yes, I can. I tell you, I love this. It's like people tell you what you can do, and you're like, yes, I can. When you do this, it's like you're so willing and open to
Well, it
receiving
was
whatever's put in your universe.
it wasn't always that way because my mother raised me. I adored my mom and my dad. They were fabulous people, and they died 12 days apart, which was just overwhelming. But I got great lessons from them. So I'm so grateful that I had them as my parents as long as I did. And so my mom, bless her heart, like she lived her whole life out of a sense of duty. Well, you can't do that. You need to do this instead. Everything was a duty, like fun, a little bit here and there. But everything was
Mm.
a sense of duty. And if all your duties were taken care of, then you can have fun. So I was about to leave the government, and one of our friends, we were in 5 different states, said that she was going to have a party for all of us who were leaving. And somebody from St. Louis called and said, "Are we going?" And I went, "Oh no, I need to start a new business." And she said, "Jennifer, we're never all going to be together again. And we were together like 2 or 3 times a year and then multiple times a week on conference calls. So like we had been
Mm,
together for a long time. And I thought, oh my gosh, you're so right. We're never all going to be together. And so I said yes. And I made a commitment on that day. I would say yes to as many things as I possibly could to have the most experiences, see the most people. I have a friend who teases me that I get a bazillion certifications. And yes, I did sign up for Brendan Bouchard's, certified coach program. And it's like, oh, Jennifer, you always sign up for everything. Are you ever going to be content with what you already know? Because
oh,
I've got a bazillion certifications. And someone read my Akashic records again, the messages on your soul. And she said, and she knew me and she knew that I had been harassed a little bit. And she said, actually, your star sign, something sign, I don't know all the technical stuff and I don't care. I don't need to. Like, there are some things it's just too much for me. But she said, you actually are your configuration, you're put together and you're put on this earth to have a quest for learning. So you're never going to quit signing up and getting certifications. You're never going to quit learning the next modality, the next thing, the next whatever is going to be the best for you. So I was sitting next to my bestie, Kimberly Crow, and she goes, are you going to sign up for
right,
this? And I said, yeah, don't give me one bit of grief. Like, I'm in. I'm in. And I'm super excitable about it. Yes, excitable is not the right word, but I love that word. So I throw it in anywhere I
right.
can. I'm very excitable.
I love that word. I might add that to my word glorious. But yes, I love that. My girlfriend Tina Bryant gave me the word glorious, and that is my new word. But I
I'm
love
in.
excitable about that. Well, excited is, as a root word is my favorite. So I use excited like all the time, like excited, 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 because I love being excited, right? It's better than afraid or any of those other words. But excite, it's the same feeling, different branding, right? And and I'm constantly trying to market to myself. So I absolutely love that part. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can be excitable too, Bettina.
You love learning. You're not ever going to be stagnant or stale. There's always going to be flow coming through you. So you're always going to just be alive. I think
Yes.
and whoever is saying that you should like stop and plateau and or not flow anymore and just sit and allow like let tell them to talk to me. I got you, Jennifer. I got you. I'm an explorer. I think you're an explorer too. Like we just love to explore. That's part of the reason we started this is so that I can explore more with the cool people like you that we've gotten to meet. Right?
So I had never heard of Brendan. I did not go to the first event where he offered Ultra in Austin in April of 2023. I didn't even go.
Okay.
But my girlfriend Kimberly Crow called me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, nothing. I just happened to be home alone. My husband and I have a lake house, and I didn't go, and he was there, and I was just watching TV by myself, Netflixing." And she goes, "Well, this is amazing," and I signed up for it. And I went, "Oh, great. Let me be your plus one." And she goes, "What's your credit card number?" And I had never even heard of him. I didn't know what he did, but I know she doesn't sign up for things haphazardly.
Oh wow.
And I was like, yes. And she goes, it's flying to LA every month. And I went, great. It'll be one night hotel. I will fly in the morning of. We'd start at 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and then I could fly out the next morning. They have a direct flight from Oklahoma City to LAX. Shockingly, they do. And then now it's been extended all day into the evening, and so now it's 2 nights hotel. But it doesn't really matter. I still go. I miss January because of New Year's, and I miss February because of a cruise with my husband that had been planned long in advance. But
Mhm.
other than that, I've pretty well been there, and it's so eye opening, and the people you meet, and the transitions they've gone through, and 2 women were at the table at lunch. One was like, yeah, I think I'm better. The other was like, wow, I haven't been this good in years. And so, Like, I'm super happy to share my gifts and talents so people can know what it is, so they can refer people, and then people are in my world, and then they pay me, and then I can pay other people, and it just all flows so beautifully.
I love the flow. So the way people would schedule with you is just go to your website, right?
Yeah,
JenniferTakagi.com.
yeah, they can go to my website, and my free gift for our listeners, since this is like an audio platform, is 12minutegift.com. And I have three audio segments going into more detail about the W, the I, and the N. So 12minutegift.com for the listeners. That's an easy one. You should be able to get there easily.
I'm going to go do that here in just a second. 12minutegift.com. If we can put that up there, 12minutegift.com. That is so generous. That's very kind. I love that you have that set up. Your systems and your processes are all like set up to just like conquer the world. What would you say? What would you tell the women now that you know what you know, right? Or people in general? What is like the one thing that would probably be the most impactful for them that, golly, you've had all these conversations, you made all these life transformations, and I know you're like, I don't want to push a bucket. If you want to do that, go do that. But what is it you're like, man, I wish people would just know this and just do this. It makes such a big difference.
Well, it's two separate things that blend beautifully into one. And it is sitting with the knowledge. My podcast is called Destined for Success. And it's sitting with that knowledge that you are destined for more than you're doing right now. Do you need to stop it all and start your own business? No. No, if that's not your calling, that's not your calling. You don't need to do that. But whatever you're doing, you can show up bigger and better and do more. And a number of years ago, I heard Mary Barr, I believe it is, she's the CEO of Chrysler, or GM. And on an interview, she had been there like since she was in high school or just right out of high school. I guess she was an intern for years, got her bachelor's, master's, whatever, but she's been there for a bazillion years. And they said, when you got your first job, was your goal to be the CEO? And she said, no, I never looked beyond the job I was doing right now. And I wanted to do it to the best of my ability. And because I did what was in front of me so well, they would come to me and offer me something else and something else. And it just led down this path. So she didn't go seeking it, which some people do, which works really well. But her goal was to do what I'm doing to the best of my ability today. And
Mm.
so by focusing on what you're really good at, which Ed Milet talked about too, and Brendan talked about, let's focus on what you're good at, not what you're not. Like, do what you're charged to do really well, and people will notice. The second piece of that is we all have intuition. We've just shut it down.
Mm.
And a lot of the work I do is intuitive work for me and the client. So if you sit up really straight, but not stiff, but sit up straight, and if you lean forward for a yes and gently back for a no, and if I say, my name is Jennifer, my body just gently goes forward a little bit because I'm Jennifer. It's true. I lean into that. But if I say, my name's Bettina, I just naturally go back a little bit because I'm not. So
Oh.
start practicing that in little ways. Go to the grocery store. You stand between the air popped popcorn and the greasy potato chips. I'm always going to get the greasy potato chips, FYI. But if you ask your body, should I
Right.
get this or should I get that? Your body will just gently sway, and it's not dramatic. It's just like a gentle lean in. And some people are like, mine doesn't do it. Yeah, you don't want it to do it. I get it. Just don't be pissy to me. Like, I get it. You don't want to do this. It's not your thing.
This is a you problem, not a, don't make a you problem a me problem.
Yes, because I know it works, people. I also use a crystal. And so this one happens to be Tiger's Eye. I ordered it off the Amazon. But I just say, show me a yes, and see it just very directly because yes, show me a no. And when I work with clients, this is what I do. Am I Jennifer? Yep. Am I Bettina? No. Am I a woman? Yes. Am I speaking on Voices of Women Friday, March 8th, International Women's Day? Yes. Like it's going to do flippity flops for that one, right? Because it's so hard. Yes. It just takes a little practice and you have to trust. I did something the other day and
Oh, you said I.
something came up and this woman goes, "No, that's not right." And I just kept on going. I was not going to engage because I knew I was right. I wasn't right. My intuition was right. And it
I
always
love
is.
what you said. You went through it so fast. You have to trust. Like I just feel like you're like I have to trust. Da, 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 da. I'm like no. I have to trust. That's like
Period.
exclamation mark. That's not even a period. That's like exclamation mark. That's like that. That is like the key to everything, right? Try like you keep. I'm feeling a theme. You have to trust your intuition. You have to trust your heart. You have to trust. Like everything is just all around. You have to trust. Like you said it differently so many different times today.
I I married my college sweetheart that was on again, off again all through college, and it was we were married for 12 months and 11 days, and it was the worst 12 months and 11 days of my life. I actually have a whole talk about the day I didn't listen to my intuition. And so after we divorced 4 years later, I'm remarrying, and I my dad walks me down the aisle. We decided Friday, got married Monday. We had like 70 people there. It was super fun to have like a surprise wedding. And my dad walks me down the aisle, and I look back and I see all those people. And I don't think I've ever told my husband this. Good news is he'll never see this, so it's all right. And I looked over at my husband, super cute guy, and I thought, I could just turn around and tell everybody, I don't think I really want to do this today. Let's just skip this and go to the reception. And everybody would be, oh, yeah, they just decided too fast. They decided Friday, got married Monday. But I looked at my husband and I thought, nah, I want to do this. And there have been lots of ups and downs and bumps and bruises and all kinds of stuff over the years, but we've been married over 31 years, be 32 June 1st. So it was that moment of truth of, yeah, I can turn and run or I can lean into this. The first time I had everybody saying, you don't want to do this, don't do it. My uncle called me the morning of, have we canceled it yet? And I was like,
Oh wow.
what? Everybody knew but me. Like everybody knew but me. And I saw the preacher after we split up, and he goes, Jennifer, the red flags were everywhere. You didn't
Oh.
want to look. So after the Oklahoma City bombing, when I know deep in my heart that God told me to stay home, I was not meant to die that way that day. Why other people perished, I don't know. I don't
Mm,
know. I do know that you can't hear God, you can't hear the voice of intuition, your higher self, what the universe, whatever term you want to put on it. You can't hear it if you're not quiet and still. And if you're in an office building with phones and meetings and people talking and things going on, I have to believe and firmly believe that God was screaming and yelling at everybody, go into the stairwell. People were in the bathrooms and they were fine. Go to this meeting. We had like 12 or 15 people from the office in a meeting on the ninth floor, and nobody in that room was hurt.
mm.
But 35 from our office were killed. So imagine those numbers if only they hadn't been there. So there are so many ways we can listen that we don't.
How so? Having met you a number of times, I think I wonder how did you learn to be still and to feel God's and to trust in your intuition? Because you said you got to be still, you got to be able to listen. How did you get to that place?
So I probably will never win an award for being like the calmest, stillest, quietest person.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. I just,
No, I own it. I own it. I totally own it.
yeah.
Somebody said about a year or so ago, she said, you know, I'm a Christian. And there are a lot of meditations out there that I find on the internet, and they take me places I don't really want to go. And I went, oh gosh, I just read this book, The Circle Maker, and it's all about meditating on a scripture. I'll just create some meditations based on scripture. My meditations are less than 10 minutes. Why? Because I can't sit there any longer.
But
I
you got
can't.
10 minutes at least. I'm getting a 12-minute theme. 12
It
minutes.
is. It is 12 minutes to success. So it just takes a minute. And I know there are a lot of really awesome gurus out there who take you through a really deep breathing, get into the moment meditation. Mine is sit still, turn everything off. Like I did all my homework my whole life with no music on. My friends are like, oh, do you know this band? No, I still don't. Guess what? I went to an Eric Church concert. I didn't know who he was. And now when a song plays on, my friends go, Jennifer, you were at the concert. And I'm like, oh, yay. Who is it again? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
The house has to be quiet. It has to be still.
Yeah.
But you just need a few minutes. So if you ask yourself a very powerful question, like next step type question, you have to be still. You have to be quiet. Take a couple of deep breaths just to pay attention to your breathing. Only takes a couple of minutes. And it's like, is this the next step?
Mm.
And again, when you practice with your body sway, super easy way because it leans forward for yes, it pulls back for no. You walk in a room and you meet somebody and you kind of pull back naturally and you're like, that's not my people. Like, I don't want that person. And guess what? The 2 times I have done that in my life, like drastically, they turned out to be really bad characters.
Mm.
It doesn't happen often, but when it happens, like now I tell all my friends, if I feel that way, you better pay attention to me because it is real. And I watched a couple of people like emotionally get devastated by this guy. And I was like, stay away from him. I was
Mm.
right. So you just have to be still. But if you're the kind of person that takes a long time to unwind, perfect. Go find the long meditations. Sometimes you can just put on music that has no words, just the sound, and just get still. That's really what it is. On the day of the bombing, I smoked back then, and I was sitting there smoking a cigarette, hacking up a lung, drinking a glass of juice. The house was completely silent, and the
Mm.
message was clear. One day I was driving home and there was like a block between these two streets downtown Oklahoma City. And we had a light that was about to turn green. You could tell. And we were up on a hill coming down it. And there was a car to my left. And I knew instantly this car headed south was going to run the light. And one of the two of us were going to hit that car and it was going to be catastrophic. They don't teach you in driver's ed to stand on the brakes and put your hand on the horn and scare the crap out of everybody. But that was the message that came to me instantaneously. I would have never known
Wow.
that. I stood on the brakes, I stood on the horn. It scared her to death. She slammed on her brakes and literally stopped just before T-boning this guy. It was going to be bad. We both look at each other. We make it to the next light. She rolls the window down and crawls over and she goes, oh my God, you just saved my life. And I went, I know. It wasn't me. Right? I mean, I just
Oh.
was the catalyst for this because she was not going to get the message. I didn't have a radio on. I typically have an audio book or the radio on. I had nothing on. It was perfectly quiet and it was just in a flash the message from my guardian angel, from God, from the Holy Spirit, whomever. I don't really care. It's somebody bigger than me. That car's going to run that light and it's going to be bad and you got to stop it.
Mm.
And like the next thought was stand up on those brakes. And I literally was on my tippy toes standing on those brakes. I had locked them up
Oh,
so
God.
hard. But these are the kind of things that happen. Shortly after that, I'm driving down the street. All the cars in front of me are stopped. I'm stopped. And here comes a white work van. And he's looking at his passenger. And I thought, I'm going to get rear ended, hit this car, that car. This is going to be bad. So I just laid on my horn. And he looked up and change lanes at the last second, and it didn't happen. But you have to be quiet. You have to be paying attention. You lose your glasses. You leave your purse. You leave your phone. Why? Because you're not paying attention. You're not being still. What is the next step? What is the next step? On YouTube, I will send you the link to it. There is a beautiful meditation, this guided meditation. And the guy's like, throughout the day, ask yourself, what is the next step I need to take? What is the next step? Keep it slow, keep it simple, keep it little. What can you do in 12 minutes? I can get rid of hundreds of emails in 12 minutes because I
Mhm.
go through and find all the ones I haven't opened that are old and start deleting. It's quick, it's easy. So break it down into small. So, your question 20 minutes ago that I have not answered, well, I've answered a whole lot of ways. You're destined for more, and you can listen to your intuition and start taking action in 12-minute increments.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right. You mentioned that if you could wave a magic wand, you'd love to connect with Oprah.
I did.
Why Oprah? I know why a lot, but why is Oprah special for you?
So Oprah is special because there are those people who had nothing, but they
Mm,
knew they were destined for more. She had to have known at a young age, because how are you a victim of incest? Then you have your first child at, I think she was 14, and the baby died within the first 24 hours. And then being told you can't do this, you can't do that. Something in her said, I am destined for more.
yeah.
Other people, like, I have had a privileged life. I know that. Like, my parents loved me. My sisters and brother, I'm sure at some points they didn't really want me there, but it doesn't matter. I'm the youngest. So there you go. It's going to happen. I dismissed them like it was okay. But like, we all have those little things, kindergarten or first or second grade. I can't remember. I know where I was sitting. It might have been first grade. I had a blue piece of paper and I'm painting white on it. I don't know what I was painting. And my teacher said, are you painting a snowstorm? Yes, yes, I am. I'm painting a snowstorm.
Sounds
I
great.
I decided right then in my 6 or 7 year old mind, I am not creative. I don't do creative things. I'm
Oh,
not a creative person. So in the last 8 or 10, 12 years, people are like, you're so creative. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And I bake and I decorate cookies and I keep being told, you're so creative. And I'm like, I went on the internet and found an image and copied it exactly. Like, I didn't have a creative thought. They're like, yeah, but you made it red and theirs was blue in the picture. Oh my God,
oh.
I'm so creative. I just did a unicorn birthday cake for a 3 year old and it was spectacular and she was thrilled. I was so happy.
Because you're so creative.
I'm so creative. I had 7 best-selling books on Amazon, but I'm not creative. I can't do anything, Bettina.
But it appears that you are creative. Maybe we just need to change the story. Maybe that narrative no longer applies.
It does not apply anymore. But when people say, like, when was the turning point? Well, the turning point for me was in a cake decorating class, and the teacher goes, oh, your cake is so beautiful. And I said, well, it's not as pretty as the picture. And she goes, well, let's add a few details. And she helped me add a few details. And I said, oh, this is so great because I'm not creative. And she goes, oh, you're so much more creative than I was when I started. And I went, I made a cake that looks identical to the picture. She goes, oh, it's not identical. The picture is a white cake with white flowers, and you made it sunshine yellow. And I went, well, that's just a color. And she goes, no, when I started, I would have made it identical to the picture and it would have been white. And you were more creative because you made it yellow.
Oh,
I was like, okay, maybe I am creative.
she changed your story. I love that. And and I see also how you do this for other people. You change their story for them. And I can see how you also give them permission to. go forward, to listen to their intuition and their trust. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, Jennifer, I want to say thank you so much for executing immediately on this conversation. You know what I mean when I say thank you so much for joining me. Like, I knew there was something special, but I couldn't put my phone on. I was like, she's got a big energy. You've got really big energy. And I think it's so interesting. We started off about you starting on stage and speaking and public speaking, and and really, at the end of the day, it's the difference that you have made in people's lives. You change the direction of their journey so that they can better enjoy their views, so it aligns with where they want to go, that they didn't even know they wanted to go there. That's what it sounds like to me. And I love that.
I I take that. I receive that. Let me breathe that in. That's awesome. That's how I want to show up in the world.
Well, that's how you showed up for me, to me. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to stop. I have to stop recording. I'm hitting resume. Okay.
Okay. So once upon a time, I worked for a mortgage company and we were very behind. I had a ton of work and I sat by a window that was, the ledge was like 3 feet off the ground. And I had file folders floor to that window ledge. I don't know, 6 feet long, 8 feet long,
Yeah.
of all these files of all this work I needed to do. And when you get a backlog like that, sometimes it's better to hire temporary staff than it is to hire a full time permanent, because once the backlog is gone, then what are you going to do with the employee, right? So they were hiring temps, and we didn't have a say. They just would say, Jennifer, here's your temp. So I remember one temp, her name was Brenda. She was really nice. I worked with her for a long time. But the others just kind of came and went. It was a blur. I had a lot going on in my life. I was married to that first husband that I mentioned. It was not a good situation, and I had all this work. So just surviving was a deal for me. So I've now left that job. I've gone to work for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and we were at a karaoke bar. I was with a group of my friends. And downstairs, they only had like 2 stalls in the ladies' room, but upstairs, they had like 10.
Mhm.
So I went running up the stairs
I'm sorry. I
and
just that all good things happen at a karaoke bar. I'm trying to get past that. I'm like, yes, girl, I know this is going to be a good story. It's at a karaoke bar, and it was in the women's restroom. So this story, you know, this is going to be good. Okay, keep
it's so good. So I am racing into the bathroom now because, right, I had to go through the whole bar and run up a flight of stairs. And this woman, as I'm trying to go in, is coming out, and she's beautiful. She's about the same height as me, 5'6", 5'7", but she's very thin, and she has this long, beautiful, perfectly straight black hair halfway down her back. She's a vision. She's just gorgeous. And she's coming out as I'm going in, and we kind of make eye contact as I'm trying to get her skinny little butt out of my way. And she goes, hi. And I went, hi, and just kept going. So I come out of the ladies' room, and she's waiting for me. And I thought, is this like a stalker? Like, is that a thing back then? Like, is it? So she goes, Jennifer, I'm whomever. We'll call her Kathy. I'm Kathy. And I went, hi. And she goes, I worked for you at Liberty Mortgage. You don't remember me. So I lied. That's what any good girl does at a karaoke bar coming out of the bathroom. I said, oh, yes, Kathy. I'm sorry. Yes. And she goes, I just have to say you changed my life. And I've been hoping the last few years I would run into you. And I went, oh. And she said, yeah. So I was a temp for you. And I thought, okay, one of many. All right. I still don't know who you are. And she said, you took me into a conference room with a stack of files, and you told me how to fill out this claim form on the first file.
Mhm.
And you said, do the next one, bring it to me. Let's look at it to make sure you've got it. And then you've got all these files to do. And she was like, okay. And you went back to your desk, and I came back later, showed you the first file. You said, it's great. Keep going. And she said, that is the first time in my life that anyone has ever given me permission just to do the job. and trusted me to do the job. And
Oh,
because of you, when that temporary job ended, I applied for a job at the Daily Oklahoman, our local newspaper, and I got the job and I'm there and I'm doing whatever her position was. And she goes, I couldn't be happier, but it's only because of you. You're the only person who ever trusted me.
oh,
And I was like, wow, I don't even know who this gal is. I don't remember her in any way, shape, or form. So fast forward 20 years, whatever, I'm training for the state of Oklahoma. They give me all the training material. And then, of course, I can put my own stories in there. Thank goodness, because I have a few. And this one story is from a TEDx talk in Canada. And it's on the lollipop story. And this guy talks about giving this gal a lollipop and that adventure that happened with her. And he ran into her 4 years later. And she was like, on my first day of college, I was ready to just go home and not attend. And you gave me this lollipop and you made me laugh and you introduced me to the guy behind me, which I would have never spoken to. And by the way, we're still dating and we just got engaged. And it's all because of you. And he goes, I don't know who she was. And I thought, I had that moment.
you had a lollipop
I
moment.
had a lollipop moment 20 whatever years ago. So my takeaway from that story is we don't know who we're impacting and how with the smallest gesture. In my mind, I just needed the work off my desk. I
Mm.
don't believe I had any faith in that girl. I just needed the work off my desk. But to her, I was telling her I trusted her and her abilities and that she could do a good job. But internally, I probably didn't say that at all. But that was the outcome. So now it was like, I need to be a little more conscious of my interactions with people because I could be giving them a lollipop and not even knowing it.
Oh, and that's a lesson I think for all of us to take in. And I'll receive that lesson too.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, friend. Oh, I'm so happy. I want to hug you. When I
In
see you
May,
first, I will hug you. Oh
in
my
May.
God. In May. All right, I'm going to end the recording now. I want to say thank you so much.
I get an email and I finished all the work and she says, congratulations, Jennifer. You're a certified soul care coach. Bettina, I didn't know I signed up to be a soul care coach. And I followed up with her this weekend. She is completely eczema free because it was April 19th, 1995.